A young man named Denji is forced to cut down trees every day, earning only 60,000 yen a month, a meager sum compared to the crushing weight of his debt. To chip away at that mountain of debt, Denji resorts to selling his own organs. A kidney earns him 1.2 million yen, yet it's still nowhere near enough. He even sacrifices his right eye, along with other body parts, for just 300,000 yen. His life is nothing but endless suffering and sacrifice. And still, the debt looms 380,400 yen, an impossible number to erase with tree-cutting wages or selling pieces of himself. Yet, in the middle of this despair, Denji is not alone. By his side is Pachita, a small chainsaw devil, loyal and steadfast through both joy and misery. As hopelessness creeps in, Denji realizes the only way to survive is to become a devil hunter. Together with Pachita, he sets out in search of his next prey. After a fierce battle, Denji manages to defeat the tomato devil. Proudly, he presents the corpse to his Yakuza boss. The boss grins with satisfaction, knowing the body will sell well on the black market. He tells Denji his reward, 400,000 yen. But Denji's expression twists in shock as the boss begins listing deduction searcher fees, handling costs, and more. When it's all over, Denji is left with just 170,000 yen. With a resigned smile, he thanks them for what little remains, as though even scraps of survival are worth his gratitude. Even inside his car, the Yakuza boss doubted the decision to hire Denji, the strange boy with a chainsaw dog, as a devil hunter. His associate thought Denji was too childish. Could a kid with a devil dog really be suited to be a devil hunter? There must be another reason behind this recruitment. The boss explained that professional devil hunters would never want to deal with a Yakuza. Denji was the only one willing to sell devil corpses for money. The Yakuza boss finally revealed the real reason. Denji wasn't paying off his own debt, it was the debt inherited from his late father. After all the deductions made by the Yakuza, Denji was left with only 70,000 yen, a pitiful amount for the hard labor of fighting devils. But even that wasn't enough. After paying for water bills and other necessities, Denji's money quickly dwindled, leaving him restless. On top of his debt to the Yakuza, Denji also owed money to others. That burden haunted him constantly, as if his life was an endless trap of debt. In the end, Denji had only 1,800 yen left. He could only force a bitter smile, laughing at the cruel irony of his suffering-filled life. With nearly all his money gone, Denji had no choice but to endure. He and Pachita had to survive on that small sum until the end of the month. The harsh reality was undeniable. Their meal for the day was nothing more than a single slice of bread, a stark image of how dire Denji's life had become. Behind his dismissive attitude, the Yakuza boss admitted one thing: Denji was an obedient boy, and that was his only truly useful quality. To test Denji's loyalty, one of the Yakuza cruelly tossed him a cigarette, offering 100 yen if Denji dared to eat it. Without hesitation, Denji's eyes lit up. He immediately rushed to accept the challenge. For him, 100 yen was a blessing he could not afford to waste. With saliva dripping, Denji shoved the cigarette into his mouth, his face twisted with disgust and nausea, but he forced himself through it for the money. Closing his eyes, Denji strained as he swallowed the cigarette, forcing it down his throat, an act of pitiful desperation. The Yakuza boss burst out laughing at the sight. They relished the spectacle of Denji degrading himself for such a small amount of cash. When they'd had enough, they left Denji with a chilling threat: if he ever tried to escape, he would be crushed like garbage. Denji's miserable condition was reflected in his living space, a rundown shack on a hill, far removed from normal life. And yet, inside that shack, Denji found small happiness. He shared a piece of bread with Pachita, grateful that they had enough food to last 3 days. Hugging Pachita close, Denji dreamed of a normal life he longed for. He spoke of bread with jam, a luxury he had never once tasted. A normal life, it seemed, was nothing more than a dream for Denji. He felt his debt would never be repaid, not even on the day of his death. Living in poverty without a proper home, Denji never even dared to dream of asking a girl out on a date. He knew such a thing was impossible. In his deep sorrow, Denji embraced Pachita, his beloved little devil. All he wanted was to feel the warmth of a girl's hug before he died. Pachita, as if understanding Denji's heart, let out a sad whimper. He too felt the pain and loneliness that weighed on Denji. The rumbling of rain accompanied the gloomy moment. The atmosphere grew heavier as Denji spotted the Yakuza boss's car approaching. In the middle of the heavy downpour, Denji stood before his father's grave. The Yakuza arrived, reminding him of the debts still unpaid. The boss sneered, cursing Denji's father for taking his own life before clearing his debt. That burden now rested entirely on Denji's shoulders. Then came the terrifying ultimatum. 700,000 yen must be in their hands by tomorrow, or Denji's corpse would be sold instead. Denji could only stand in silence, watching the Yakuza's car fade into the distance. The weight of 700,000 yen pressed down on him heavier than any mountain. In that pit of despair, Pochita activated his chainsaw. Seeing this, Denji realized the only way out of this impossible situation. Standing in the pouring rain, Denji shouted at the Yakuza, "If you're really going to kill me, then do it. I'll die anyway." His face was filled with fear. He knew this was the end of his life, just like his father, who had also met his fate at the hands of the Yakuza. Right before Denji's eyes, they prepared to hang him. There was no hope left. His life was about to end the same way his father's did. But then, something unexpected happened. One of the Yakuza screamed in terror at the sight of Pochita. "He's a devil." The fear escalated when the man saw the chainsaw protruding from Pochita's head. "A chainsaw?" he cried in panic. Pochita, who had been quiet all along, suddenly growled and leapt forward. He swung the chainsaw on his head, slicing into one of the Yakuza. Chaos erupted. Blood sprayed everywhere as Pochita slaughtered the gangsters. But Denji noticed something. Pochita was gravely wounded. Denji panicked, realizing Pochita was badly hurt. He didn't care about the dead Yakuza. All that mattered was his only friend's safety. In deep despair, tears mixed with the rain running down Denji's face. "Are you going to die too?" he whispered weakly. Pochita gazed at him with love. Denji understood there was no other way. He had to take Pochita and merge with him in order to survive. In the pouring rain, Denji stared at Pochita. His eyes widened in fear, unable to believe that his one and only friend was now on the brink of death. In desperation, Denji reached out his hand, shouting for Pochita to bite him. He had to save Pochita, no matter what it took. Panicked, Denji explained that devils could heal their wounds by drinking blood. "Bite me," he cried, urging Pochita to act. Without hesitation, Pochita sank his teeth into Denji's finger. Pain shot through him and blood spilled. But Denji didn't care. All that mattered was saving his friend's life. Denji's blood dripped onto Pochita not as a gift, but as a contract. That blood was the price of a new bond between them. Clutching Pochita tightly, Denji looked at his father's grave. "I'll save you." "So you must save me too," he whispered, unwilling to die alone. Suddenly, a mysterious man emerged from behind the trees. His eyes looked hollow, yet his presence radiated danger and authority. With their newfound power, Denji and Pochita now united as one launched a brutal assault on the Tomato Devil. Together, they ended the monster's life. Denji, now bearing a chainsaw for a head, stood atop the corpse of the devil. He looked at the mysterious man and confidently offered his service as a devil hunter. After all the chaos, a single precious memory lingered. Denji and Pochita sleeping peacefully side by side, a simple, irreplaceable moment of happiness. The mysterious figure who appeared was actually a woman. She introduced herself as a devil hunter, sent directly by the Public Safety Bureau to collect Denji. With a calm expression, the woman explained that she needed Denji. She had an offer he couldn't refuse. She warned him that if he disobeyed her orders, she wouldn't hesitate to kill him. But the most tempting part of her offer was her smile. She promised Denji that if he obeyed, she would give him food. Hearing the promise of food, Denji's face immediately lit up. With a wide grin, he replied, "I'll do anything." Denji began to feel something strange about his head. He realized that Pochita had fused with him, transforming him into something terrifying. The woman explained that the devil Denji had slain was the zombie devil, and that everyone there had been its underlings. Suddenly, a horde of zombies appeared, charging at the two of them. A battle was unavoidable. The woman ordered Denji to run while she stayed behind to face the zombies alone. Denji was stunned. He watched the woman confront thousands of zombies. He didn't know what would happen next, but he was terrified. The woman stared at the horde of zombies approaching and muttered, "Such a nuisance." Even so, her face remained calm. She was surrounded by thousands of zombies from every direction. The undead kept advancing, ready to tear her apart. While fighting them off, she shouted at Denji, "Denji, you're Chainsaw Man. Use the chainsaw on your head and wipe them all out." Denji could only stare in confusion. He didn't understand what was happening or what this woman meant by chainsaw man. The woman shouted again, explaining how Denji could bring out his chainsaw. Pull the cord on your chest, and the saw will come out. Denji looked down at the cord on his chest. That cord was the form of Pochita, who had fused with him. The woman urged him once more. Hurry, I can't hold them off forever. The zombies attacked relentlessly. But Denji just stood frozen. He watched the zombies draw closer. His body stiffened with fear, unable to move. The woman lost her patience. With a terrifying look, she screamed at Denji, if you don't want to die, then run. Denji turned to look at her. She was exhausted, yet she managed to defeat all the zombies on her own. She clearly wasn't an ordinary person. The mysterious woman, whose name was Makima, looked at Denji still confused and shaken after the battle. Makima smiled and said, all right, I'll give you one chance. A single offer that would change Denji's entire life. With a faint smile on her lips, she asked Denji a simple question he had never considered before. Do you have a dream? Denji was bewildered. All his life had been about paying of debts. He had never thought about having a dream. But then he began to think about a simple desire he had always held deep inside. I just want to eat good food, hug a girl, and sleep with her. Denji nodded, realizing that this was his only dream. It was the one thing he wanted before he died. Makima extended her hand, making him a promise. If you do everything I command, your dream can come true. With a cold smile and a frightening expression, she demanded an answer from Denji. Do you understand? With firm resolve, Denji accepted her offer and shouted, yes, ma'am. From that moment, he was ready to do anything to achieve his dream. Denji followed her, vowing to be like a loyal dog to his master. Makima only smiled and replied, humans make better pets. Denji sat inside the car, gazing at the scenery outside, feeling a comfort he had never experienced in his entire life. His face lit up with joy as he expressed how cozy the car was. It was his very first time, and he absolutely loved it. Then, Denji was served a delicious meal. He devoured the food eagerly, savoring the simple happiness he had always dreamed of. So good, Denji shouted while eating, tears streaming down his face from the joy of finally being able to eat properly. Amidst his happiness, Denji suddenly asked, what kind of devil is this? He thought all tasty food must be some kind of devil to be hunted. Makima looked at him with a cold smile, as if she found his question amusing. She replied, this isn't a devil. This is human food. Her answer made Denji realize that his life had truly changed. Makima's eyes radiated a mysterious aura. She was no ordinary human, and Denji had yet to discover that he had become the servant of an incredibly powerful devil. A man with tight black hair appeared, glaring at Denji with a scornful look. This was their first meeting. Shut your mouth, the man said. Denji could only fall silent, realizing he had made a mistake in front of his new superior. Now, Denji was trapped in a pitiful state. He gazed forward with one eye, while the other was covered by bandages, and in his arms he cradled Pochita, his wounded little devil dog. Behind him, the horde of zombies could be seen, their faces twisted with bloodlust, each clutching a sharp blade, ready to strike. Denji felt drained and hopeless. He rested his head on Pochita's shoulder, dreaming of a quiet, normal life. He asked softly, don't I deserve even something this small? Suddenly, an unbearable pain surged through him. His body was covered in wounds from the relentless assault, and tears mixed with blood streamed down his face. He collapsed to the ground, clutching Pochita tightly, the little devil drenched in blood as well. Denji groaned in pain and let out a ragged breath. Seeing his master suffering, Pochita's eyes welled up with tears. The little dog's sorrow spilled over for the boy he loved. Then, a single teardrop fell from Pochita onto Denji, who had already drifted into unconsciousness. The tear felt cold against Denji's cheek. More tears fell, so many that they soaked Denji's face. Pochita trembled, overwhelmed with grief for his beloved master. Denji awoke from his slumber to find himself inside a metal container. The space was filled with garbage bags and piles of strange discarded things. When he turned his head, he was met with a monstrous face staring at him with terrifying eyes. Shocked, Denji froze. A mysterious man with tied-up hair introduced himself as Ikeya Hayakawa, a devil hunter, along with his partner, Himeno. Himeno waved warmly at Denji, flashing a cheerful smile. She was lively and bright, the complete opposite of Ikeya. Confused, Denji could only ask, who are you two? He had no idea his life was about to stray even further from normal. With a cold expression, AKI explained that they were devil hunters from public safety, assigned to partner with Denji. Denji was stunned. Partner. It was a word that sounded strange to him, one whose meaning he didn't truly grasp. AKI immediately informed Denji that they had a new mission. He needed to prepare for the work ahead. Denji began to complain, having just finished his meal and wanting to rest. He didn't realize the world of devil hunters offered no time for breaks. Nearby, a few other devil hunters looked exhausted, offering a glimpse of how harsh their lives truly were. AKI firmly told Denji there was no time for rest. He had to work, just like the others. Once again, Denji felt crushed. The dreams he had just begun to taste seemed to vanish, replaced with the same old despair. AKI glared at Denji in anger. He couldn't stand Denji's childish behavior any longer. "You're really pissing me off," he shouted. Terrified and unsure of what to do, Denji could only apologize, feeling guilty for making AKI so upset. Makima stepped in to mediate the quarrel. She wanted AKI and Denji to work together. "Let's give them a chance to cooperate," she said. Denji was now officially part of their team. AKI glared at him with annoyance, while Himeno welcomed him warmly with a smile. During a shared meal, Himeno gave Denji some motivation. "If you want a normal life, you'll have to work hard." Hearing those words, Denji nodded. With renewed spirit, he promised to work hard so he could live normally. The trio attended a briefing. One of the devil hunters explained that the devils they would face often hid in groups. "The devil is hiding inside an old building," the man said. A new mission had begun, and Denji was about to experience the brutal world of devil hunters. On the way to the site, Denji told his teammates that he could smell the devil, but its scent was strangely human-like. Hearing this, AKI and Himeno were both shocked. "Human? This encounter would be far different than they expected." AKI stared at the old building with a serious expression, confirming their location. "This is the place," he said, as their mission began. The three of them walked through the dark, empty hallways. A tense atmosphere clung to every step they took. Suddenly, Denji and Himeno felt themselves leap downward. Denji shouted in surprise, "My body feels so light." Denji was confused. The devil's scent he had caught earlier had suddenly vanished. What was truly happening inside this building? At the end of the corridor, a grotesque, obese devil appeared. It introduced itself, welcoming them with twisted glee. AKI drew his sword, ready for battle. He explained to Denji that this devil possessed the power to manipulate gravity. The devil raised his hand and crushed a devil hunter against the floor. The force of gravity instantly destroyed the man's body. The hunter was dead. The devil then turned its gaze toward Denji, AKI, and Himeno, and spoke in a chilling voice, "Who's next?"